Servus and greetings from Vienna. My name is Anita Posch. Thank you for listening to Bitcoin & Co., my podcast that's introducing the philosophy, ideas and people behind Bitcoin. You will find additional information and links that are mentioned in this episode in the episode description on the website bitcoincopodcast.com or in your podcast player. I would like to hear from you, so you either leave a comment or you will also find a link to send me a voice message. For weekly updates, subscribe to my newsletter at anitaposch.com/newsletter. Before we start, a short message from my sponsors. You're looking for a solution to store Bitcoin the safe and easy way? The Card Wallet is a high-secure way for storing Bitcoin offline, developed by Coinfinity and the Austrian State Printing House. The Card Wallet is a professional cold storage solution made with high-quality security materials and tamper-proof features that prevent the manipulation of the card. If you want to know more or buy the Card Wallet, go to www.cardwallet.com. Hello friends of the Bitcoin & Co podcast. Today I'll bring you a guest who's working on a lot of projects at the moment. And I have to say I'm only hearing good things about these projects. So I'm very happy to present Max Keidun, the CEO of hodlhodl. Hi Max.
Hi Anita, thank you for having me here.
Thanks for your time. Max, before we talk about your company and your Bitcoin projects, please tell our listeners a bit about you. What was your education? What did you do before?
My education, actually, funny thing, I'm a journalist by education, by my original. So I have a bachelor degree in communications, and I have MBA, which is like general MBA, Master of Business Administration. So I have 2 degrees. Never thought actually that I will do something in finance. Never thought that I will do something in finance, in internet, and never thought that I will do something in Bitcoin at all. So I started my career as a journalist, but quite quickly as I switched to the economics, financials, and et cetera, et cetera. And before actually joining the crypto movement, to say that like that, I had a 10-year career in financial sector. So I was working in legacy finance system. I was working in banks and asset management companies, wealth management companies, etc., etc.
Was that where you're born in Riga, or where do you come from?
I was born in Latvia, but actually I was born in USSR. By that time it was USSR, but I was born in. Geographically speaking, I was born in Latvia, these banks are where these financial institutes, they were like global, but some of them were based in Latvia, some of them were based in Finland, most of the time I spent there.
And how did you get into Bitcoin? When did you hear about it the first time? Can you remember that?
First time, I remember that because the person from whom I heard that actually impacted my career quite a lot. Because when I left the bank, I left the bank to join his startup. So I heard about Bitcoin first time, I think in 2012 or 2013, when I had a meeting with my client. And at that point, he was already investing in Bitcoin, and he actually were like developing project within the Bitcoin community. And he bought some software companies as well. And he was like quite fascinated about the tech behind the Bitcoin. He was like, I remember we were sitting in a meeting room, and he was like showing to me his wallet balance on his mobile phone, and saying that like in 10 years from now, I won't need you to transact my money to move funds from one direction to another. I will just have my wallet on my mobile phone, and will like send money to anyone, anywhere in the world in like minutes, without paying any high fees and without going through like KYC AML burden and all that stuff. I thought he was crazy at the first time, but I started to actually like educate myself about this. And in 2015, I quit my job in banks and joined his new venture within the Bitcoin space. I won't be able to say what was the company because due to some legal agreements that was signed, but it was a good move because I think in 2016 the banking industry in most parts of Eastern Europe started to collapse, and it started to change dramatically with all the new KYC ML measures and all that stuff. So I think I made a good move at that point.
Were those KYC AML regulations from worldwide regulations, or especially in Eastern Europe?
They were actually more from worldwide, because Eastern Europe at some point it was like similar to Switzerland in terms of like banking secrets and all that stuff. So you if you were like, for example, Russian or Ukrainian or like from like post-Soviet Union country, you could be like onboarded easily in any local bank. They would like they would do anything to have you as a client, because they understood that most of the people from those countries are quite rich, and it was quite easy to be onboarded in a local bank. So basically, you would have a European banking account, an account in a European bank, and then you could easily move to Switzerland, for example, move part of your funds. So yeah, at that point, like it was a very good option for like non-European customers to enter the European banking scene or European banking market. But then in 2015-16, everything started to change, and many Eastern European banks refused to serve non-residents. So basically by that, the huge chunk of the industry were killed.
And why did you leave the project where you were working on?
Well, actually, at some point, I was invited to join another project where I had way more opportunities to like manage stuff and to express myself, and I had like basically unlimited amount of things that I could do, and bigger amount of trust, to say like that. And at some point, I understood that I'm ready for a new venture. I'm ready for a new adventure. And that's why I actually left, and I'm quite happy that I did that.
So you're an entrepreneur now?
Yes. So as you mentioned in the beginning, I'm a CEO of hodlhodl, and we also have a lot of different other projects. And like the hodlhodl family or hodlhodl empire actually growing. And we have like different stuff happening at the moment, and huge plans. The big vision and quite interesting roadmap to follow.
Mm-hmm. We'll come to that later. What are the basic features, or let's say functionalities, characteristics of Bitcoin in general that interest you?
For me, it's, well, first of all, I was serving for 10 years as a middleman. And I think number one is that there's no middleman. There's literally nobody who can tell you what to do with your money. The second thing I think is that it's quite hard to confiscate BTC. It's especially important in countries with authoritarian regimes or not so stable regimes, like where you don't have this institutes of private ownerships and etc. And the third thing I think is that Bitcoin is decentralized. Well, to some extent, not like fully decentralized. At least it's becoming more and more decentralized. And by meaning decentralized, I'm not meaning the code or the protocol or etc. I usually get fascinated about that in the same moment and the same time, there's like thousands of people working to make Bitcoin better in the world simultaneously, and there's no head leader or leader who says what to do and where basically everyone is independent in that community. Some people are building retail products, some people are building exchanges, somebody is doing the wallet thing, somebody is like coding and like want to become like core developers. Some people are just like to educate other people about the Bitcoin. So I don't treat Bitcoin as it is of course like unique tech, and of course it's a unique thing. Like I think you can compare it to the internet itself. But I'm more fascinated about Bitcoin in terms of social, economical, and political impact of this tech in general.
Which things do you mean by that? I mean, which social impacts?
Well, basically, you can see like you can take an example of Venezuela. People are using Bitcoin to survive. I'm just like I'm constantly saying this in my interviews that here you see a use case of Bitcoin. Because if you will have the fiat in Venezuela with their like inflation rate, most probably it's worth nothing. And there's a huge amount of population in Venezuela that literally surviving due to the Bitcoin. 70% of the world population is actually unbanked. And that's the use case of Bitcoin. Easy to use, not so easy to understand, and we still need to go a long way. And as we discussed today during our like private discussion, that I think that Bitcoin community is too focused on the tech and all the developments that we're doing. We need to be more focused on educating masses, and I think that that's a part of mass adoption. When people will understand that I think people will understand the practical use cases of Bitcoin, how you can use it in a practical way. You need to know the basics, how it works. As for the average user, you don't need to be like involved in like this technical stuff and all that, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, but actually it's not that complicated. I mean, you need a wallet, you write down a seed. Yeah,
I think the problem is it's not a question of Bitcoin being complicated. I think it's a question of people who surrounds the Bitcoin are a bit complicated. We're too focused, again, as I mentioned, on the tech. And sometimes if you know too much about the tech, it's not easy for you to explain in a simple words to a person who's not like a technical guy, all the beauty of BTC.
Yeah, but if we think about people in Venezuela, Argentina, or somewhere in Africa, I don't know, yeah, they actually, how do we get that there? Because they would need it.
I think we get that there, but because was like an unfortunate thing called like huge deflation and the risk of losing your life, literally, because you can starve to the death. It wasn't like the people suddenly started to like embrace Bitcoin as a tech. It was like most necessity and like you want to survive, you need to learn. You want to survive, you need to adapt. If we speak about more sophisticated communities or countries with less problems that have Venezuela, or less problems that have any country in Latin America or in Africa, then people are just too lazy to learn something new. They're happy with the existing system, although we do understand that the existing system is broken. And I had a conversation with one very smart guy who came from traditional financial. He has a traditional financial background. He came from traditional like banking industry, and he told like the banking industry wasn't. They didn't create any new for like 500 years already, so it's nothing new there. You're living in 21st century. You are living in a digital age. So for digital age, you need digital money. That's what we need to do. We need to educate people in like countries with no deflation or that don't have that problems, like Germany or like Western countries, to use Bitcoin. And I think that mass adoption is not only about mass adoption. Bitcoin is not only when emerging markets embracing Bitcoin.
So what would you say to a German, for instance? Why should he or she use Bitcoin?
That's a tricky question, actually. A good one, but it's tricky, because well, in Eastern Europe, we have a quite clearly use case, because like as I say, I'm like 30 around years old, and due to my life course, I saw that government actually 4 or 5 times changed the currency. Each time they changed, they actually literally deleted all your savings, like most of the times, not the last one, but most of the times they literally deleted all your previous savings in other fiat currency. So we see that use case. In Germany, I think that in Germany it could be actually as served as a store of value, like an investment tool. Because I think that the like more sophisticated communities, they do understand the economical things and do understand they have an investment culture. And for Germans or for like British people or for French people, it could actually first they could embrace Bitcoin as an investment vehicle, and then maybe at some point they will understand also the value of not having any person above you to say what you should do, to whom you can transfer this money and to whom you cannot.
Yeah, or how long it takes to do a bank transfer from here to the US or something like that.
Or how much you will pay, because I know that in Germany people are actually counting their money, so it's quite important.
Yeah, I think another use case, at least for me here in this in Austria, is the privacy features I hope that Bitcoin will get or has already, like in contrast to something like Facebook coin. So I see this is a use case for me, because I don't want that the government or Facebook knows what I'm buying, what I'm drinking with somebody and such things.
Yeah, it's you don't want to do that, and me neither, but like most of the people, like let's say 90% and even more, they're like happy just like living like that and giving this information to anyone.
Yeah, but when I look at China and the mass surveillance there and their credit points, I mean, that might be next here.
Yeah, but people actually think, well, it's in China, it will never happen to us, the same way everyone thinks about something happening just somewhere in some other country or with other people. You always think that this won't happen with you.
We had 10 years of Bitcoin,
yeah.
And you had like 5 years of Bitcoin now. Or 6?
5, 6, something.
So what I mean is you're actually a long time Bitcoiner.
Yeah, but I actually started like working on Bitcoin seriously in 2015. So it's like 4 years. Yeah, something like that.
Do you think there are any dangers that might be a reason for Bitcoin to like vanish again?
Well, there's always a danger with anything actually. in the world. Anything can vanish at some point. So I don't like when people guarantee something, like, when people who sell investments, they say we'll have a guarantee, like return on your investment, etc., etc. I don't believe in that. But as I mentioned, due to the fact that a lot of people working in different countries, speaking different languages with different backgrounds, doing the different stuff on Bitcoin. And I think that from each day there's harder and harder to break this system. And I think that we have a quite bright future for Bitcoin, but there's always a risks. But I'm more concerned not about the external attacks, like government will try to shut down something. There will always be governments that don't like something, and there will be governments that will embrace something. There will be like Japan, where you can pay with Bitcoin, and they embrace Bitcoin. They say use it, pay it, do whatever you want. Or there will be like Maltese government who says like we are happy to invite companies that involved in that crypto scene to come to Malta to have a license, etc., etc. But there will always be governments, like, I don't know, last rumors, like some Asian governments or some African governments that say the Bitcoin is prohibited, or like, for example, Indian government who says like you will receive 10 years sentence if you will just own Bitcoin. So it's always like, there are, but the tricky question is that you need to understand which governments are actually embracing Bitcoin and which governments are actually banning. So you see Japan is like in top 3 economies in the world embracing Bitcoin. I think you need to take an example from these more successful governments. I'm not saying they're bad or they're good. But in economics, they're definitely more successful than other governments. So you need to watch them, and you need to take example from them.
There's always a lot of criticism against Bitcoin in the media, and also I hear a lot of criticism from just the usual people. How do you stay so positive about it? And how do you manage to be positive in the way you found projects, you work and you believe, I think, in the future of Bitcoin?
I think 2 things. First thing is that for 10 years I've been in another system, and I know how the system works from within. And not only it's slow, old, and etc., but it's also, you can just see from the newspaper headlines that the biggest money launderers in the world are the banks. They get fines each year, like billions and millions. So it's actually, I think the general public are so offensive in terms of Bitcoin because they don't understand. It's our quest, or it's our mission to educate them about this. And more like people who are more business wise, they do understand and they see the value proposition of Bitcoin. And the second thing I think is that I see the youngest generation, the people who are like 20 years old or like 18 years old, these people don't go to banks. They don't understand why they need to handle their personal information to someone else, like to some kind of third party. And I think these people will grow up at some point, they will have money at some point, and they will use the tool that they understand better. And Bitcoin is actually made to understand it better than the traditional system. So I think that, the new generation most probably will embrace crypto. I don't know whether it will be Bitcoin. I hope it will be Bitcoin, yes. But maybe in 1 year, a new Satoshi Nakamoto will came and create something else, and in 5 years we will speak about this. Who knows? That the old system that is actually literally broken.
So you're the CEO of an exchange, a peer-to-peer Bitcoin exchange, which is allowing users to buy, sell, and receive Bitcoin directly without a custodian.
Yeah, a non-custodial peer-to-peer exchange.
How does this work?
For each contract, we just create a multi-sig address on the public Bitcoin blockchain. So you're trading through these addresses. So basically through the escrow accounts that we create on the public Bitcoin blockchain. So
basically, when I want to buy Bitcoin from your over your website, over your exchange, I go there. Do I have to register, or what do you have to do?
You just need to input your email and password. That's it. And then you either publish an offer that, like, I'm willing to buy with, I don't know, with bank wire. You publish an offer and you wait until someone will accept that offer, or you find an offer from already published offer list, and you see that someone is like selling BTC for a price that you are fine with, for euro, using the bank. And then you engage in contract. When you start the contract, hodlhodl generates this unique escrow account on the public Bitcoin blockchain. This account has 3 keys. One goes to the buyer, one goes to the seller, and one goes to hodlhodl. The seller sends crypto Bitcoin from his wallet to this escrow account. As soon as the escrow account is receiving the BTC, we inform each of the counterparties that BTC is locked in that account. The buyer sends fiat, and as soon as you receive the fiat, you just enter your key, and another party enters his key, and you release the coins in his wallet. So basically, it's 2 out of 3 multi-signature. So you need at least 2 keys to release BTC from that account. So in that case, hodlhodl only holds 1 key out of 3. It's technically impossible for us to move these coins somewhere. We don't hold them in our wallets because, as I mentioned, we just provide the technical tools for a trade. So actually, because of that, we're called non-custodial exchange. The system is has its own flaws, but also has its own pluses.
And what happens when there's a conflict? So when those 2 parties can't resolve?
If there's a dispute, then we engage in the dispute resolution. We have our own procedures how to solve the dispute, and when we understand who's the winner in that dispute, we just enter our key, and together with seller or buyer, we release the coins in favor of the winner.
Okay. And have you seen any changes in user adoption, like getting more users on your platform in the last months or years, or is it lowering?
We actually getting more users. I think that mostly due to that, our brand finally become like quite well recognized, and people usually for peer-to-peer markets, the same way it was with local Bitcoins are. I heard their story that, like, for the first year they didn't have any proper traction, and then after the year 1 they started to add users on a proper base. So the same actually happened with us, because we launched hodlhodl on 23rd February of 2018. So it's quite young. In March this year we started to see some kind of traction, that we started to grow. We also introduced some new features like lightning powered trades, which also helped us. We also see that other exchanges peer-to-peer exchanges are implying the KYC/AML, and due to that fact, of course, some people are moving to hodlhodl as well.
I've seen that on local Bitcoins you cannot exchange in person anymore. I think it's not working with cash anymore.
Yeah.
You still allow that?
Yeah, we do allow that. Not only we allow that, actually, for example, Paxful allow that. They are similar to local Bitcoins. You trade within their wallet, so they hold your funds. So I don't know what's the reasoning behind this ban. Maybe because local Bitcoins are registered in Finland. So maybe due to that, Finnish government, I don't know, told them to do something, but I don't know. So what's the reasoning behind that? Or maybe they understood that it's not part of their core business and they are not making any money with this, just headache with that and that's it. I don't know.
What are you going to do when new rules are coming up? Like new rules by the Financial Action Task Force on money laundering will force cryptocurrency business in roughly 200 countries to verify the identities of anyone sending or receiving more than $1,000 worth of digital assets, effectively nullifying their pseudonymity.
Yes. First of all, again, we don't process any funds. We don't hold them. We don't take funds from user A and give it to user B. So, for example, Security Exchange Commission, 1 month ago, they published their rules or set of rules where they specifically mentioned that non-custodial wallet providers, they're exempt from regulation and licensing. So we don't see how this affects us. Mm-hmm. Also, peer-to-peer markets are usually popular and used by people who are buying the smaller fractions of BTC. Like if we're speaking about $1,000 as a barrier entry, then most of the trades are actually lower than 1,000. Especially with the Lightning trades that we have offered now, we see that Lightning trades are usually quite small, and actually that's why Lightning is good for that. So people are buying $10 worth of BTC, paying literally nothing. So we will see, of course.
So, but then you said just something. Does that mean that I don't need Bitcoin to be able to buy into Lightning?
Yeah, you can come to hodlhodl. You can publish an offer that I want to buy via Lightning to my Lightning wallet, and that's it. And you do that.
But do I have to open my channel then first?
No.
Ah, okay. That's interesting. I didn't know that this works.
No, you don't need to open a channel because we already all trading happening through our node and through our wallet. Ah. So for Lightning, that we introduce, we are custodial to some way because we hold these funds in that Lightning wallet for time of this contract. So basically, for example, the seller sends Lightning BTC from his Lightning wallet to the escrow that we generated. We hold those funds in that wallet, and when he receives the fiat, we release in favor of the buyer.
That's interesting because up until now I thought, and that's also an argument that comes up against Lightning, that you have to have Bitcoin before you can buy Lightning.
No.
How do you say it actually? Is it Lightning Bitcoin then, or what's the name?
No. I'm saying that now, yeah. But we say it's Bitcoin. It's basically we name it Lightning powered Bitcoin trades. Okay. And I think it's a correct way to do that. I'm saying, distinguishing Lightning Bitcoin from Bitcoin due to the reason that it's easier to explain for your podcast listeners. But I'm not saying that.
But
Lightning,
it has no name, actually.
Yeah, it's just Bitcoin. There's Bitcoin, on-chain Bitcoin, and there's Bitcoin on Lightning Network.
Yeah, and I guess in the future that won't make a difference because you don't see it anymore. You won't know.
It's a bit confusing at the moment, and I know that in some parts of our community, people still they get disputes with each other. They're speaking you need to say that it's Lightning Bitcoin. I think it's Bitcoin, and that's it. It's just a way of getting Bitcoin from point A to point B, and that's it. You whether do it on chain or you do it using the second layer.
Yeah. I mean, you're also not arguing about if you send an email over TCP/IP or SMTP. I mean, nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares. Yeah. It's just an email.
Yeah, exactly. But you also have an OTC trading desk. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have an OTC trading desk, and actually a lot of large OTC brokers are using hodlhodl as an escrow agent. But the tricky part is that, of course, we understand that these trades are usually more than 1,000 USD because of the OTC. But the reason in that is that all the OTC brokers, they do KYC/AML on themselves and on their partners. So in that sense, they're using hodlhodl only as a technical solution, only as an escrow service. So that helps us to get over. So many of traders actually on hodlhodl, I don't think it's a bad thing, but I also don't think it's a good thing. It just is. There's many offers on hodlhodl which requires to go through the KYC/AML. They're not required to do KYC/AML by hodlhodl, but by the counterparty that actually published that offer. And as for our OTC desk, we have that, and it's licensed. And we use hodlhodl in that sense that it's an escrow agent, but we do KYC/AML on all our partners because the brokerage company has the banking relationship and has the license, and we're required by the law to do that. Mm-hmm. So we are not reckless that much, you know.
As I said earlier, you're working on a lot of projects. I think the last one you released is a peer-to-peer predictions marketplace with Bitcoin. What is that?
Yeah, it's called Predictions by hodlhodl. We were fascinated by Liquid by Blockstream, so we thought we should name Predictions by hodlhodl. Taking an example from big guys. But the prediction is actually something unique because when we released the hodlhodl, not many people understood the tech behind that. A lot of people, and there's a lot of people actually at the moment that say you're just you're working in the same way that local Bitcoins do. What's the reason to release a peer-to-peer exchange? But with predictions, it's a unique product in few senses. First of all, there's no prediction markets on Bitcoin. Second of all, it's non-custodial, pure peer-to-peer prediction market. So, for example, you publish a prediction that Bitcoin price will be above 10,000 by 13 of July 2019. You publish this on predictions. And I go to that platform, I see that you have published that prediction and I disagree with you. And when you're publishing an offer, you stated that I'm willing to bet or to lock 1 BTC. So you're locking 1 BTC from your wallet, I'm locking 1 BTC from my wallet, and the total bank is to 2 BTC. Who wins that receives the BTC. But the funny thing is that actually with predictions, we've created multi-sig with more flexible multi-sig because you can fund this multi-sig from both sides, not like on hodlhodl. On hodlhodl, only the seller is funding this escrow. But on predictions, both parties involved in contract, they need to fund that escrow. So you will send 1 BTC from your wallet, I will send 1 BTC from my wallet. And then when the event is happening and we can verify the winner will receive it all. If we will have a draft, for example, at that point of time, the BTC price was precisely 10,000, not above and not below, then we will have a draw and we will be able to return this BTC back to our wallets.
But that's actually a game. It's like betting, or do you think that
it is? It is, of course, a betting to some extent. We like to call it a prediction, and we believe that it's prediction. But I'm not trying to convince anyone. It is a peer-to-peer. It's not a betting because in the betting, in more traditional betting, there's 100 people from one side saying something like this team will win, and then 200 people from another side, and that's how you get these odds and stakes and all other stuff. So our prediction market's working only between 2 persons. So it's 1 and 1. So 1-on-1. It's not like Augur does. There's 100 again, as I mentioned, a crowd from one side and a crowd from another side. It's pure peer-to-peer, the prediction between 2 parties.
Okay, I understand. Because I was at your site and thought that I saw some of the offers, and I thought that they are already set and
No,
I can
no.
jump in?
No.
Oh,
no.
okay. Mhm.
It's actually everything that when you will go to predictions, we have the testnet, but we will, like in few weeks from now, we will release the mainnet. But everything that if you see an offer published on hodlhodl, on predictions by hodlhodl, then this offer is published by a single person. And if you will accept that, there will be only you and the offer creator in that contract. So it's basically pure peer-to-peer.
Okay, I understand. You were mentioning multi-sig again.
Yeah.
And I've seen you're talking tomorrow at the Unchain Convention in Berlin. Yeah. And your talk is called Bitcoin multi-sig is good and you should feel good
about it.
Why should I feel good about it?
Because actually, with the Bitcoin multisig, you can do a lot of stuff. You literally can use it in many, many, many ways. Like you can do cross-border asset sales or asset trades. Like you can buy real estate in different countries via internet using the Bitcoin multisig. You can pay to freelancers using Bitcoin multisig, because the problem with the freelancer is that the party who is hiring and the party who is doing the job, they don't trust each other because, for example, one is sitting in India and another one is sitting in US. These problems can be solved using Bitcoin multisig. You can ship goods using the Bitcoin multisig, using it as a collateral, so that the party that actually does the job and takes your parcel from point A to point B understands that you have that money and you will be able to cover his costs. So there's like a lot of implementation opportunities for Bitcoin multisig, and I think that we strongly believe that community actually forgetting about how good this tech is and how many things you can build with that.
Mm-hmm. You're also organizing the Baltic Honeybadger Conference in September.
Yeah.
The Bitcoin Conference of the Year, Bear Market Edition.
Yeah.
What if the bull market comes earlier, or do you not believe that this might happen in 2019?
Actually, I had an interview with one Bitcoin related media in March, and I told already at that point, bear market is over. So I hope, and we see. From the March, we see that we're actually moving in green zone most of the time, and the price of Bitcoin is actually rising. But we announced the conference in the beginning of February. We were in bear market at that point. Who knows? Maybe we will be back on the bear market. But for many people who bought their Bitcoin in 2018, in the beginning of 2018, by the price of 20,000 per BTC, it's still a bear market. And there's a lot of these people. Let's say that we're making this conference for them, so they at least can have a proper party and listen to interesting people.
Okay, that's great. I'm coming. So I'm looking very much forward to it. And it also says on your website, the Baltic Honeybadger Conference is driven by the cypherpunk movement. So there are two terms in it, like honeybadger and cypherpunks. So why is the honeybadger a symbol for Bitcoin?
I think it was... It was proposed by Roger Ver, something like that. Or not proposed, but I think maybe I'm mistaken. I'm not so good at Bitcoin history, but I saw this billboards photos in internet that he was publishing where Honeybadger of money. Why Bitcoin can be named the honey badger of money, again, because if you're familiar with honey badger as an animal, it's unbeaten animal. It literally survives everything. So there's a lot of funny videos on the internet where you can see that it get bitten by snakes, the lions trying to eat him, and etc. But it's just the unbeaten stuff. So I think the Bitcoin is honey badger of money. Why we named that? Well, the same reason why we named our exchange hodlhodl, because we like the Bitcoin community, not only due to the fact that they're these people are in general very smart, they are good and very, very skilled professionals like coders, business developers, etc. But also due to the fact that this community also have his own funny things, memes, and all other stuff. I actually think that there's more there's less economics in Bitcoin. There's more like Memenomics, in Bitcoin. And so that's why we are not so stressed about the naming. I don't think that the naming of your product or of your content or of your conference actually solves anything. It's the quality. You either do good things, like in terms of quality, good things. I'm not saying like being a Red 8 or helping the people somewhere, although it's a good thing to do and we need to do that as well. But you either build something good, and it doesn't matter how it's called, or you can call like the exchange like super duper serious exchange, and it will be literally a piece of shit that won't work. That's it.
And why the word cypherpunk?
Well, the Bitcoin is itself, I think it was born within the cypherpunk culture. And I think that it's just logical that we are like moving in that direction and like providing the place and the stage for people who can actually say that, like, for example, I don't know, we don't need banks and etc., and we can do like that and preserve your privacy, and you need to be careful with the data that you like send to anyone.
So in a way, if you can't identify with any of the principles of the cypherpunks, you might not be coming, or the way around.
Well, it's like I think that not anyone is identifying themselves with the principle of cypherpunk, but many. And I think that actually the mass adoption we will start seeing like mass adoption. We already see that, but like on a smaller scale. Not due that people will align themselves with cypherpunk movements. Suddenly everyone will like hide their names, will publish an avatar and stop using Facebook or something like that and posting the photos. Not only due to that, but when people will understand that you can interact freely in a financial way, like in the way, for example, we can communicate freely. I'm being like somewhere, for example, in Russia, and you being in Europe. We even don't need any mobile operators now. We just need a phone or a laptop, and I can call you via Skype or Telegram or WhatsApp, whatever. It's kind of revolution, and it's free communication. And I think people need to understand that Bitcoin and crypto in general brings you the opportunity to freely transact with people that you want to transact. And this opinion pushed by the agenda that pushed by general media that Bitcoin is used only for criminals. Well, criminals are not using Bitcoin. They don't understand the Bitcoin. They're using cash. They're using like legacy financial system for their operations, because it's like, I doubt that they are sending to each other through mobile wallets any BTC. Most probably they're using the cash and the fiat system. So it's, you need to look at the other side.
Yeah, I mean, and like 20, 30 years ago, the internet was the same. Like the media said it's only used by criminals and for porn, which is actually true.
Yeah, it's only good for porn, and that's it. Nobody will use that. Well, now you see that actually the media itself is actually moving to internet. We don't have that many like traditional newspapers left, or any traditional newspaper has online version, because they do understand that at some point people will stop consuming the paper version and they will prefer like the digital one.
So what would you recommend to people who are interested in Bitcoin? What should they do? Like reading recommendations or videos, or what do you think?
Well, I think that we have a good website, bitcoin.org. Don't use bitcoin.com, use bitcoin.org. I think that's the number one recommendation. Read some books about not only Bitcoin but economics in general, like Austrian economics, etc., etc. I'm also a big fan of, for example, Nassim Taleb and his book about the Black Swan. I think we can make a parallels with Bitcoin as well. And read that book. Read the Bitcoin Standard by Keidun. I'm really impressed. I had a privilege and opportunity to speak with Keidun and to participate in one conference that was Value in Bitcoin in Munich, and I was surprised. He's very smart, and you need to read his book. Also, Andres Antonopoulos, watch his lectures on the YouTube and read his books as well. These are very gold standards for anyone who is willing to join the crypto community. And the best way at the moment, I don't know whether it's unfortunately or luckily, is to educate yourself. But hopefully we will see more and more educational materials coming into space, and people will be able to earn easily. And of course, you listen to podcasts, to your podcast, I think Peter McCormack has a good podcast. Stefan Livera has a good podcast. Marty Ben with Tales from the Crypt, great podcast. And others that I don't mention.
I would like to mention Let's Talk Bitcoin.
Let's Talk Bitcoin. Also a great one. There's a lot of them. And in terms of podcasts, we have I don't know why, but there's a lot of podcasts, good quality content, where you can listen to some basics and hear some the wisest and the smartest people. And of course, if you want to educate yourself about Bitcoin, read the white paper. It's 8-9 pages and explains a lot.
Yeah. And where can people follow you and your work? And are the tickets for the Honeybadger Conference already online?
The tickets for the Honeybadger Conference are online since February. And we don't have 50% of tickets are sold already, and at that rate I doubt that we will have last time, month before the conference, that was sold out. I think this year will be the same. And we don't have many tickets left by the price that is at the moment. It's 250 euros at the moment. It's 2-day conference with all the catering, with all the after parties, with everything. We include everything. We try to create a pleasant experience for people, so they don't think where they can have a lunch or dinner or something like that. We include everything, and even the after party, and some swag as well, goodie bags and all that stuff. For me, you can follow me on Twitter. It's the main source where you can follow me. My Twitter is at Keidun M. And I suggest you better follow hodlhodl, which is quite simple, at hodlhodl. And so there are big news coming in with the prediction market launch, and hopefully by the time of Honeybadger we will be able to create a prediction success story, because now we are releasing the MVP, minimum viable product. It does what it does, but by the Honeybadger we will change it a little bit, and it will be even better.
What are the next plans?
The next plans are actually release the prediction markets. The next plans are we are going to add new languages to hodlhodl. Actually, we made a voting poll this Monday, and with the huge percentage, German language is winning. So most probably the next language on hodlhodl will be the German one. We also have team members that speak German, so we'll have a proper German language support. And the next big things that we are going to do, predictions. We're going to work on that. We're going to release lightning-based predictions as well, so you will be able to lock in €1, €2, and we are going to work and to develop a non-custodial lightning trades. So at point when we started developing the lightning trades for hodlhodl, there wasn't tech in that Lightning release. Now, as far as I understand from our technical developers, the Lightning team released the new version where there's an opportunity to create a non-custodial trading engine like we have for our on-chain contracts on hodlhodl. So these are, I think, three main things, and but we have one like big secret plan that I won't relieve. Most probably we will keep it up until Honeybadger, and on Honeybadger we will announce this.
Okay, great. Then I'm looking forward to this.
Cool.
Thank you very much for the interview, Max. I will put all the links and the books and the names you just mentioned in the show notes. And thank you for your time and that we did that interview.
Thank you very much, Anita. I wish success for your podcast, and I hope that by the time of Honeybadger you will have a lot of downloads, a lot of listeners, and together we will be able to educate even more people.
Thank you. That's great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. That's it for today. Thank you for listening. What did you think of the interview? Did it bring you greater understanding of Bitcoin and its people? If yes, and if you want to support my show, please subscribe to the podcast in your player, leave some stars, and share on social media. Feel free to contact me on Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube, or send me a voice message via the link on the episode page. Goodbye from Vienna. Auf Wiederhören. Music, start with Yes, Delicate Beats. Idea, content and production, yours truly, Anita Posch.